Anyone? Varsh.
ARM processor,
Sorry?
ARM processor,
Yeah.
controller,
Yes, correct.
peripherals, and bus.
Peripherals and bus. So these are the hardware components. Uh, uh, Correct, no? So we have discussed. I think last class we have discussed this softwares, the operating system. What is the operating system?
Sir, it organizes the system, restoring.
Yeah, correct. And also it provides an environment so that the applications can be run in proper way. And next, initialization code. What is the work of the initialization code? So first it will set up the memory, okay, so that the proper image can be loaded. Fine. And also it will check for diagnostics. It will check whether all the devices connected to the embedded system working properly or not. If it is succeeded, then it will go for booting an operating system. So once booting is done, the control is given to the operating system. That is the initialization code. Correct. And device drivers. So device drivers specify the format in which the operating system can interact with the hardware. Right. So each hardware, whenever we connect to a microcontroller, we require specific device driver. It is responsible for communicating with the hardware. Okay. So this is what we have talked. And applications, like if we want to perform any task, we need to write down applications that can be run on the microcontroller. These things we have studied, and this is the overall. Then I have talked about the how the data flow occurs in the ARM code. Okay, so this is the block diagram I have given, model I have given. So yeah, what all it contains. So just I will revise this. Okay, so whenever the data enters, so what do you mean by this data? This data, either it means a data item, or the or the instruction, right? So the data can be the data item or instruction. So if it is a data item, so it will check whether it is a signed data or not. Okay, so if it is a signed data, like 8-bit signed data or 32-bit signed data, 16-bit signed data, so this data will be expanded so that the value will be 32 bits. So that is the intent of this sign extent. So if it is already 32-bit, then directly it will go to the register file. If it is 8-bit or 16-bit, then it will be converted to the appropriate 32-bit, and it will be put into the register. Okay. If it is instruction, then the instructions will be decoded. So the it will decode so that the ALU can execute. Correct. So this is the uh, uh, how data comes to the register file. So what do you mean by this register file? So registers, these are general purpose registers at the microcontroller. So what is the size of these registers? It is 32-bit. Okay. So how many registers we have? We have from R0 to R15. So 16 registers will be there. So from these registers, the data has to move to the ALU or multiplicative multiply accumulative unit. Okay, so it has to move to the ALU or MAC, right? So how it will move? It will move from register file to the ALU or MAC via two registers. One is RN, so RN and RM registers. So this the data will be copied to the RN and RM by two buses. The data will be carried by two buses. So for RN, the bus A will carry the data. For RM registers, the bus B will carry. Okay, so this uh, the another specialty of the RM register means the data coming from the RM can be pre-processed at the barrel shifter. Okay, so the barrel shifter pre-processes one of the source input register, that is RM. So after performing the pre-processing of instruction, then it can be given to the AL. Otherwise, directly also it will go if there are no pre-processing is required. Yeah. Then so the input for the ALU will be the RN and whatever the data coming from the barrel shifter. So after performing the uh, executing the instruction, it will write back the result on the register RD. So this register, the contents of register RD will be returned to the register file again by the bus called result. Okay. So once this instruction is executed, otherwise the data is fetched. So next address has to be fetched. So that will be taken care by the address register. So address register holds the base address. So after each instruction execution, it will increment the register value so that it will fetch the next instructions. So this is how the data flow in the ARM code. Fine.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, yeah, you can see here it is mentioned as a read and write. Yeah, right. This is write and this is read. So what do you mean by read and write? So we have a memory location. So from the memory locations, we need to read or write. So for this purpose, the microcontroller has two specific instructions. I think I told this in the previous class. So what are those registers? Two instructions. So how to write into the memory location and how to read from the memory location. So what are the two instructions we have? I think I have asked question also during class about this. We have load and store instructions. Remember, load and store. What do you mean by load instruction? Load
Instructions are written into the memory.
No, that is store. Load in the sense we are loading the register
Retrieving.
memory, yeah, retrieving the data from the memory to the register, and write is the opposite. Okay. So for this we have load and store instructions. So this is about the flow of data in the registers. Fine. And in this 16, the from registers R0 to R13, we call it as a orthogonal registers. Why these are called orthogonal? What do you mean by that?
The same operation can be performed on this register.
Yeah, correct. So whatever the operations that we can perform in any of the register between this, then a same operation can be done with any other register. So that's why we call it as a orthogonal. And also these three registers have special meaning. So if they are not in the user mode or something, so they have this special uh, these register contains special information. So R3 contains stack pointer. I told R4 R14 is a link register and R15 is a program counter. I think these things I have covered in the class. Yeah, I think I was talking about this, right? Current program status register. So this is also visible when we are executing the program, correct? So for the programmer, so this register is also visible. So yesterday I talked about there are four fields in so the size of the CPR is CPSR, current program status register is 32 bits. Okay, and it is divided into four fields. So each field carries 4 bits. So first one is 8 bits of flag, 8 bits of status, 8 bits of extension, and 8 bits of control bits. Okay, so these are the 4 bits we have in the CPSR. The status field and extension field are not used, whereas the flags and control fields are used at present. Okay, so these two fields are reserved for the future use. So in the control field, so what we have processor mode. So it will determine what mode we are actually the microcontroller, the processor is in working. So that can be checked by accessing this 5 bits 0 to 4. Okay, next t bit, so it will indicate in which state the processor is. Okay, so this is the this is the sixth bit. So it is starting from 0, so it is sixth bit. Okay, and next two bits, so they identify the interrupt mask. So if there are any interrupt masks, so that can be identified by using the sixth and seventh field of sorry, seventh and eighth field of control field. And next we have flags. So we have four flags. Okay, conditional flags. So if these conditional flag sets are set, then it has a specific meaning. So we'll see what are those meanings. Okay, so this is a generic program status register. Yeah, this is what I told. Yeah, yesterday I think I also covered this. So what do you mean by the processor modes? So whatever the processor we have, it can operate in two modes. So I think have you worked on Linux? Linux, or okay, if you are installing some software requires you need to execute it in administration mode, correct? Administrative mode, correct? So in the Windows we have two modes. One is user mode and another one is administrative mode, correct? So whenever we are executing in the administrative mode, we have some privileges. Okay, so some privileges will be there whenever the system is executing in the administrative mode. So similarly, when we are talking about the microcontroller, so we have two modes. One is privileged mode and non-privileged mode. So the processor will operate in two of these modes. So one is privileged and another one is non-privileged. So what do you mean by privileged? So privileged means uh, we have full read and write access to the CPSR. Okay, so we have full read and write access to the CPSR. So if we are changing any content of the CPSR, then we should be in the privileged mode. Okay, and there is a non-privileged mode. So what is a non-privileged mode in the sense? So we cannot write onto the read and write access. We don't have read and write access to the control field. Okay, so these 8 bits we cannot modify. So what are the 8 bits? So we have processor mode, interrupt mask, and state bits. Okay, so we cannot change these values. Only we can read and write this value when we are in non-privileged mode. So what are the modes we have in the? These are these are the modes in which the processor operate. Okay, so what are the privileged modes and what are the non-privileged modes? So we have 6 privileged modes. Okay, it is you can see here we have 6 privileged modes. So one is abort mode. So what do you mean by abort mode? So abort mode is like, suppose if we are failed to attempt to access a memory. Okay, so if you are attempting to access a specific memory location, but it is not you don't have that permission, or if the memory location is not present, then the system will go to the abort mode. Okay, so that is one mode. And next what we have is, okay, so fast interrupt request and no, set this mode, fast interrupt request and interrupt request modes. And then we have a supervisor mode. So whenever we on the system or on the embedded system, so they will start with the supervisor mode. So at the first time the microcontroller will be in the supervisor mode. And also whatever the operating system that we have, so if the microcontroller is executing some instruction or anything, so that time the obviously the mode will be supervisor mode. Okay, if at all it is executing, whenever the operating system is working, then it will be in the supervisor mode. And next is a system mode. So a system mode is a special version of the user mode, but special version of user mode, but it doesn't have any much privileges. We'll see why. We'll see what are the privileges it has. And the last one is undefined mode. So if at all, if you are writing some instructions which is not there, or some error occurs, so then it will be in the undefined mode. So all these six are privileged mode. Okay, all these six are privileged mode, and one mode what we call it as a non-privileged mode, which is a user mode. So whenever you are writing program, so that time you will be in a user mode. Whenever you are executing the system in a user mode, in the uh, whenever you are executing instructions, that time you will be in the user mode. So these are the 7 modes the microcontroller works. Okay, so any doubt here?
Sir, what is undefined mode?
Undefined mode, see, suppose if the processor encounters an instructions which is not defined. Okay,
Okay.
or if you are writing something but it is not supported by the system,
Yes, sir.
so that we call it that time the processor will enter into the undefined mode.
Okay, sir.
Okay, this is about modes. We talked about this, and next is bank the register. What do you mean by this? Bank the register. So you can see in this figure, we have you can count, we have almost we have 37 registers in the microcontroller, complete ARM register set. So this is a complete ARM register set. But whereas whenever we are executing in the whenever a programmer is executing, so the only the 17 registers are visible to the programmer, but other registers are not visible. So these registers, okay, so these registers we call it as a bank registers. Okay, these registers are bank banked bank registers. So these registers are available only when the the processor is executing in a specific mode. Say for example, if it is executing in a interrupt request mode, correct, interrupt request mode, then the then the system has access to these registers from R0 to R15 CPSR and these 3 registers. Okay, if it is executing in the interrupt request mode. Suppose if a system if processor mode is executing in the abort mode, then so along with the user and system registers, so these 17 registers, so these registers are visible to the processor, not the programmer, because programmer will be executing the user mode, right? So if they, based on the mode of the processor, these registers are available. Fine, any doubt here?
No, sir.
Yeah, so I told you how many modes. There are 7 modes, correct? So one is the user mode, so these are the registers visible. And next is fast interrupt request, so these are the registers available with respect to that. Interrupt request, supervisor mode, undefined mode, and abort mode. uh, how many modes are there now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So which one is missing?
User mode.
User mode is then a user. Yeah, one is missing. Which one? Yeah, you can check. You can see these are the 7 modes. Which mode is missing?
System.
Yeah,
System.
as I told, it is just an improvement over the user mode. It is called as a system mode. So system mode doesn't have any bank register. Okay, and why these bank registers are used? See, for example, uh, means how these bank registers are used. Um, we'll talk about why. We'll talk about how these bank registers are used. Say suppose if I'm working in the user mode and suppose something happened, say for example an undefined instruction undefined okay, so the content of this R13 and R14 will be replaced by this R13 and R13 SP. So whatever the register contents we have in the user mode R13 and SP and R14, so these contents will be banked. So banked in the sense they will be stored somewhere. Okay, so these will be stored and the content of this will be replaced with this registers. And in this particular means in this particular mode, it will check what is that undefined error or something. Then after exiting from this mode, that is from undefined mode to the again back to the user mode, so whatever the register contents were backed down, so the same registers the contents will be restored. Okay, that we call it as a bank in. Okay, so one is banked and another one is banking. So the contents of registers will not be deleted, they only replaced. Okay, say suppose another example, if we are executing the user mode and one of the interrupt comes, so one interrupt comes, so the contents of this interrupt request, that is R13 I underscore IRQ, will be replaced with R13 SP. So but these contents will be saved, so this will be the contents will be R13 underscore user, because it is a user mode. So these registers value will not be changed, only they will be replaced with the specific registers. Once the mode changes back, so the original value will be restored. Okay, so this is how the bank registers are used. Fine. Okay, you understood any doubt here?
Sir, and the other registers in leaving the user in system, is it why we use
Okay.
SPCR and not CPSR register?
Yeah, I will cover this. It's in the next topic. What is this and other things? I will tell you what is this.
Oh, okay, sir.
Yeah. Oh, okay. As I told, see, uh, what is the privilege mode and what is the non-privilege mode? I told no just now
Privilege
how
mode
the
allows
yeah.
full read and write access to the CPSR,
Yes.
but in non-privilege mode, only the read access is allowed.
Yeah, correct. So how we are going to change the processor mode? Suppose if you are in a user mode and if something happens that has to be it has to be in a specific mode, so how the data will be changed, how the mode will be changed. So the processor mode can be changed by, we can write a certain programs. So using programs, if we are modifying the bits of the processor mode, then we can change the mode. Okay, that is one. Or another time a mode can be changed is by hardware. Okay, like if we have certain exception or an interrupt, the hardware can change from the user mode to the a specific mode. Okay, so one is by writing a program to change the mode bits of a processor mode, and another thing is, so the mode will change based on the hardware interrupts or exception. So based on that, the mode will be changed. So what are the different types of interrupt or exceptions can occur? So one is like if you are resetting the system, or if there is any interrupt request. Okay, or any software interrupt. Say suppose if you are like you all know, like divide by zero is one of the exception. Right, so like that we have many software interrupts, so that if we have any software interrupts, then the mode will be changed. Or if we have any if you are accessing to the memory which is not there, so then that mode can be changed from one mode to the other mode. So based on, so in these scenarios, the modes will be changed. Fine. So if you are writing in one mode and certain request comes, the mode will change. So for that purpose, we are using this bank registers. So the bank registers are used when we are moving from one mode to the another mode. Correct. So these registers are banked and banked in. So where there these banked registers are used. Yeah. Another thing is this. What is this SPSR? So SPSR is not visible when we are executing the programmer mode. Correct. We saw in the lab that only the 17 registers were visible. So we have another type of register called as saved program system register. Okay, saved program system registers. Why they are used? Say suppose I am executing in the user system, right? So in this mode I have certain bits enabled. Correct. So that we call it as a current programs the status of a program. Certain bits are open, certain files are open, something. Okay, so that is the state of the program. So whenever we are changing from user mode to the any of the mode, or from one mode to any other mode, so we have that current state. So that current state has to be saved, so that whenever so for that purpose we use this saved program. Okay, saved program system registers. Say suppose if I changing from fast interrupt request to the interrupt request, suppose. So this status, whatever the status is there, so that has to be stored in whatever the content of CPSR will be there. So that content should be saved to the SPSR underscore FQ. I think diagram is there for that. Yeah. See here, what we are doing uh, as per the yeah. Say I'm switching from the user mode. Okay, I'm switching from the user mode to the interrupt request mode. Okay, I'm changing from the processor mode is changing from user mode to the interrupt request mode. That time, so whatever the content of CPSR is there, whatever the content of CPSR is there, that determines the current state of the program. So that current state of the program has to be saved, because whenever it returns back, whenever the mode changes back to the user mode, the data has to be, means the same state has to be present. Correct. So that's why we use CPSR. So whatever the content of CPSR is there, it will be copied to the SPSR IRQ. Okay, so once this mode changes to the user mode, so the same content of SPSR underscore IRQ will be returned back to the CPSR. So that for that particular purpose we use this registers. Okay, you can see that there is no SPSR register for user mode, right? Only it will be available for other modes, because the user state has to be restored. So for that purpose, so whenever the user mode is changed to the fast interrupt request mode, then whatever the data of CPSR is moved to the SPSR FIQ. Fine. You understood why the SPSR is used?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So as I told, these are the 7 modes, and 6 are privileged mode, and the one is non-privileged mode, and this is the bit. Okay, I think yeah, you can yeah, you say suppose the question may come like, if we are in the supervisor mode, then what is the value of mode bit? Okay, then the value of the mode bit is 10011. Okay, so this you need to remember, I guess. Okay, so this is the say suppose if we are in abort mode, this is the content of processor mode 10111. Okay, so how many bits are used? So 0 to 4, that is 5 bits are used to identify the processor mode. Yeah, this is what I have explained with respect to change of mode on execution. Yeah, next is processor state and instruction sets. So in the ARM processor, I think previously I have told you there are 2 instruction sets. So one is ARM and thumb instructions. Okay, ARM and thumb instructions. So recently they have come with another instructions called as ZAZIL. Okay, so ZAZIL. Okay, so we have in the ARM nowadays we have 3 instruction sets, but however this is not included in this diagram. Okay, uh, yeah, it is not included in this diagram. So suppose if we are giving if we have the support for the ZAZIL instruction, then J will be there, another bit J will be there here. Okay, but we are not it is not it is not explained here in much. Just we have 2 instruction sets, that is ARM instruction set and thumb instruction set, but they are explaining about this also in this topic. Okay, so we have 3 instruction sets in the ARM processor. So one is ARM instruction set. So all the ARM instruction sets are 32-bit. Okay, 32-bit, and thumb. And another set of instructions, the special instructions what we have is thumb instructions. I think I have told during the introduction, explaining what is the difference between RISC and the ARM. So that time I have talked about thumb instructions. So these thumb instructions are 16-bit instruction set. So some of the instructions whatever we can achieve with the 32-bit instructions, so we can achieve the same operations with only the 16-bit thumb instructions. So with that we will save a lot of memory and the power will be saved. So that is the advantage of using this thumb instructions. Okay, and another type of instruction is ZAZIL instructions. So this is a recently developed technology. So these instructions are 8-bit long, and they are introduced to execute the this one Java bytecodes. Okay, so if we have a Java bytecodes, so in the instructions, those instructions are will be executed by this ZAZIL instructions, whose size is we are only concentrating, but you need to understand that the ARM supports 3 instruction sets. One is ARM, thumb, and ZAZIL. So ZAZIL instructions is the 8-bit instruction sets instructions. which are used to execute Java bytecodes. Okay. Yeah, so this is the features of the ARM and thumb instructions. So instruction size is, the ARM instruction size is 32-bit, whereas thumb is 16-bit. So whatever, see, you can see that there are 58 core instructions. So in that, so thumb instructions have 30 instructions. So whatever this 30 instructions are subset of this 58 instructions. So whatever these instructions can do or perform the operation, so the same operation can be performed by these thumb instructions. So that was the advantage. And some of the instructions are conditional execution. So most of the instructions are conditional execution. We'll see what you mean by conditional execution, and only the few branches are conditional instructions here, like branch instructions. And they have access to barrel shifter and ALU. Here we have only separate barrel shifter and ALU instructions. We have separate set of instruction sets. And program status register. So we have read and write in a privileged mode, and here we do not have any direct access. And here we have 16 general purpose register, sorry, 15 general purpose register plus program counter. So these registers can access these registers, but whereas whenever we are executing in thumb instruction, we have only 8 general purpose registers plus 7 high registers plus program counter. We will see whenever we are explaining more about the thumb instructions. I think it will come in the module 2. Okay, so you will understand more about that. Here just brief introduction, like what are the instruction sets are available in the ARM. Okay, so we will discuss in detail whenever we are talking about module 2. So yeah, this is about the Zazzle instructions. So if yeah, so when you say the processor mode is using the uh, thumb instructions, so this bit is there. You can see this is the bit. So if this bit is set to 1, then the instruction set is used is thumb. So if a bit is set as 0, then the instruction set is used is ARM instruction set. Suppose if we are using the Zazzle technology, that is a third instruction set. So if you are using that, then under J bit will be present. So if the value of J bit and if the value of thumb instruction is set as 0 and J is set as 1, then it means that the instructions that we are using is a Zazzle instructions. Okay, so this is how we need to understand when we are using the Zazzle instructions. Okay, so the size of Zazzle instruction is 8 bit and over 6. Yeah, and they are generally used to execute this Java bytecodes. And these instruction sets are a mix of software and hardware. So that's what it means whenever we are saying this. Over 60% of the Java bytecodes are implemented in hardware. So these instructions are a mix of software and hardware. So 60% of the instructions are hardware, and remaining 40% are implemented in software. So this is just an introduction about this Zazzle instruction set. Next, what we have is interrupt mask. So in the diagram, we have seen that there are 2 interrupt masks which are available. So one is interrupt request and another one is fast interrupt request. So why these interrupt requests these bits are used? So suppose if a particular event has to be handled by the processor, then this particular bit will be set. Okay, so if we require a fast interrupt request, then this a particular F bit will be set. Otherwise, if a normal interrupt comes where the priority is less, then the I bit will be set. So you can see in this figure, like I think 7 and 6, bit number 7 and 8 are corresponds to this IRQ and FRQ. So based on that processor request, so this bit will be set. Okay, yeah, then I talked about flags. Okay, so there are 4 flags, right? N, Z, C, and D. So these are the flags that that are used in the uh, CPSR register. So we have what do you mean by this N? So N means a negative. So if a bit, whatever the, so if the value of a register is negative, then this particular bit 31 of the result is a binary 1. I will explain this in detail. Okay, one second. Oh, this is the content. So first one is flag Q. Why? Here they have given 4 Q. The next class. Okay. So what is remaining in the CPSR state? Only the conditional flag and conditional execution. So I will like explain this conditional flags in the next class. Okay. So what all we have studied in the class in this class. So we have seen what do you mean by processor modes? What are the two types of in which the processor operate? One is a privilege mode and another one is non-privileged mode. And what are the different types of privileged modes and non-privileged mode? Correct. Then we have talked about what are bank registers, okay, and why they are used and how they are used, and yeah, how we are changing from one mode to the another mode, and why these SPSR registers are used. And then we talked about the state of registers. So state, it means that what type of instruction sets we are using. So there are three instruction sets, thumb and ZZ. Okay, and we'll talk about this conditional flags and conditional execution in the next class.